Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about whether it can be okay for a dog to bark in a school setting. Let's explore why they bark first and then talk about positive conditioned emotional responses. Who am I? My name is Lori Johnson and I'm a retired school teacher. I love being a teacher and so I'm still an active educator at Georgian College in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, where I live. I'm also the creator and educator at Charity Sweet Legacy. I'm proud to be a member of the AAAIP community. As a volunteer, I am a subject matter expert, a certified evaluator for pet partners, and a certified animal-assisted intervention specialist. In my career as an educator, I was so lucky to have the first-hand experience of the power of dogs in schools. I've had years of experience introducing service dogs in training puppies into the school environment and instructing programs that included dogs to enrich our students' learning in a unique, unconditional, loving, non-judgmental manner. It is unnerving in a school setting to think about a therapy dog in training expressing themselves by barking. This PowerPoint has been created to support unique ways to integrate this part of exposing puppies and dogs in training into the learning and opportunities for students. I guess the question would be that needs to be answered is, why do dogs bark? Why do dogs bark? When I think of dogs and relate it to the canine-human bond, I see more similarities between humans and dogs than I see differences. When I think of the students that I taught over all those years and the way they individually express themselves, it is very similar to why dogs bark. So it could be an emotional response to fear, it could be an emotional response to newness, even to excitement. Sometimes dogs or puppies that are really excited will express that through vocalization. It could be an emotional response to a physical need, a trigger that is of a previous experience. They could be feeling really overwhelmed, or it could be feelings of being unsafe and not comfortable in their environment. A negative emotional response is a cry that there is a need that needs to be met. So they're trying to tell us something, and they will tell us that we all need our needs met. And if we will figure out how to get that need met in one way or the other. It's a way to communicate the emotion that is being experienced without the knowledge of how to handle this feeling. It is a reflection of a short gap between a stimulus and a response. So there's a stimulus, maybe it's a student walking up to the water fountain with a hat and a hoodie on, and the dog that has not experienced that before, and so they have a very quick response because they're fearful or they're uncertain. I'm going to explain a little bit more about these pictures. This picture is what we would call a positive conditioned emotional response training session. So these are service dog puppies. That one puppy there is actually my Charity when she was very young. And we would have the firefighters come in to work with the service dogs in training so that we could create a positive conditioned response to men in uniform, women in uniform, the amount of equipment that they end up wearing by the end of the slideshow, you will see it is quite fascinating and very, very interesting in the way that the dogs will become climatized and have a positive response to these firefighters in their full gear. We need to do this with dogs who are in service because you never know when they may come upon a situation with their life partner where firefighters or emergency responders need to come to their home to help, and we can't have the dog getting in the way of that or reacting in a very negative, maybe even aggressive manner. Creating a conditioned positive emotional response or classical conditioning is what we're going to talk about next. And it's the absolute opposite of the negative response. We want them to learn that the situation is safe and they don't need to bark or have some kind of a negative reaction to what's going on. And we do this in a very slow, bit by bit way. So as teachers, we set up for success. Before we can teach content, students need to feel safe and confident in their leader and in their environment. Usually for me as a teacher, I would spend the first month just creating relationships and building rapport and figuring out expectations that worked for our classroom as a whole, allowing the students to buy into all of that so that they were feeling good about where they were so that they could actually begin to learn content. Building their confidence by allowing them to experience new situations with our loving guidance and support creates a positive conditioned emotional response. So here you see the firefighter with just his jacket and his pants on, and he's allowing the dog to sniff his hand and get comfortable with him. And the dog is being supported by her, actually this is Benny in this picture, by the student Brittany, who's got lots of experience with this and was a real success in our program. So how do we do this? We slowly expose our students to new situations and give them lots of encouragement and praise. We give them responsibilities, little by little, bit by bit, that sets them up to be successful. And the intrinsic rewards of accomplishing a task, we all know, is huge. We teach them two-way communication so that they can express what they are feeling in a way that is appropriate and acceptable. And the second part of two-way communication is our response to what they're telling us. So this picture just shows this student and this dog spending time together. She's petting the dog. She has responsibility to help the dog feel comfortable in the situation with the firefighters around. And she is making sure that the dog is comfortable, which exposing the students to this and allowing them to be a part of this journey it's just huge. I really can't even tell you how important it is and how much value it has for the student and the dog. Empowerment, we invite them into the process. So if we want to make sure that dogs are not going to bark in schools, we need to, or I recommend that we invite students into this whole process. We need to include the students in the plan. We need to respect their input and value their ideas. And we support them in helping their peers to reach their potential. So it's not just about helping with the dog piece, but helping each other to feel empowered. And we celebrate them every step of the way. So this is that same student in the last slide. She is now introducing the dog to the helmet, a familiar person. The dog is very, very familiar with the student. So she is wearing this bulky hat first because there's only one piece of newness, bit by bit, which is the hat, and then she has Jan, who is supporting the dog as one of the trainers. How does this all relate to dogs barking? If we give ourselves as educators the opportunity to do what we know best, we can use the same understandings to prepare therapy dogs in busy schools. So what do we know best? We know that building a positive conditioned emotional response is really important, and we do this with our students, and we probably don't think of the wonderful things that we do as educators as classical conditioning. If you look at Pavlov's theories, which are very, very old and have lots of data to support them, what we are doing with the dogs is what we do with our students. We will take something that might have been negative, an emotional response that they might have because of trauma or history or experiences in school before they met us, and we turn it around and we make it positive. And we do this bit by bit and very slowly. So in this picture, you can see the firefighter is now wearing the full gear. He's even got the mask on that provides oxygen when it's needed. If I recall, I don't believe he's got the oxygen tank running yet because that makes a very loud noise. So we're just building the dog up to it. Again, he's allowing the dog to sniff him, to be able to just feel safe in this situation. Take every opportunity as a learning moment. So again, invite the students into the process, but sometimes this means that we have to think on our feet. We could be out in the hallway with the dog and something new happens and the dog may bark. We have to think on our feet and be able to stay calm and confident because the dog's going to follow our lead, but we want to very quickly assess the situation. What happened? What would have prompted the dog to bark? And then trust that if we invite the student into supporting the therapy dog in training, we can have a win-win. The dog will learn. The student gets to feel really, really good about that experience, that they actually were able to be helpful. It builds confidence and it feels pretty good for the student who's involved. It also spreads the good word when the student goes out and says, "You're never going to believe what just happened. I was actually able to help train this service dog or this therapy dog that's in our school, and it was really, really cool." And it just gives the message out in the school community that this is a positive thing. It's a win-win for all involved. Preparation and education is also key to all of this. Everybody has to be on board. So you want to educate your staff, your students, and your parents, your volunteers who come into the school, custodians and secretaries. Consider everyone a part of the team. Invite collaboration and ask for support and advice. Make people feel like they're part of it, that it's not being done to them, but they are part of this process. Host small education sessions for each member of the school community. So invite the custodians to a little stand-up meeting where you can just explain what's going on and talk about how it might impact their role. There could be more cleaning involved, but you are not going to leave that to them. You're going to pitch in. You're going to have brooms and whatever you use to clean windows, and you're going to support the custodians by helping out with the cleaning. Invite the secretaries. Could again be a stand-up that when you come down to take the attendance, they may be seeing the therapy dog in training, and would they be willing to help you with the greeting of the therapy dog and exposing them to more and more people. You may want to have a bit more of a formal type education seminar with the staff and with the students, and then invite the parents in whichever way works for your school to also learn about all of this that's going on. Allow lots of questions, address concerns, solve potential issues, but do it together. Make them part of the process. Visit classes so that you're going into one classroom with your therapy dog in training and introduce this team that you have created with the dog. Give the students an opportunity to share their concerns, their excitement, their curiosity during the class visit. Let them tell stories about their pets. Teach about dogs and how they're similar to humans. Use it as an opportunity to teach. Invite curiosity and ask the question, why do dogs bark? Let them answer it. Ask for input and guide their learning. If you involve the whole school community in this process and make them feel like they are part of setting this up and making this work, you will have a lot more buy-in and success. Set up a structured way to be involved. We have to be able to think on our feet as situations will come up where we will want to invite the students into the training process, but we can also be very intentional in setting up a structured way to be involved. This will be dependent on your school and your work that you've already done to encourage buy-in from staff and parents. If you've done your groundwork and you really worked hard at educating everyone, then this will be a lot easier to put in place. So some ways that you can involve all members of the community is you can schedule students to join you when you walk the dog outside. It's a great opportunity for students to get some exercise, to get some fresh air, to have another trusted member staff member in the school that would be you, that maybe you wouldn't have had the opportunity to even get to know this student if it wasn't for the dog and the team that you have. Sometimes the most unplanned, informal conversation you have with a student can be the most valuable. Schedule specific training sessions with student sign up to support. So you're going to spend half an hour training on a Tuesday after school. Ask the students if let's set up a sign up, find out who's interested, and set up some system that will work for everybody, and then they can join you and be part of your team training. Of course, you've got to monitor how many, and if there's a lot more to this than just what I'm putting out here for you, but it would be very individualized to your school. Schedule visits to the office, to the custodial team, and just let them get to meet the dog, get to know the dog, get to know you and the dog as a team, and spend more time just explaining why you're doing things. And the most important thing is show appreciation to all members of the school community. I used to get the kids to write thank you notes at different times of the year. We did it just on a piece of white chart paper where everybody would have a chance to draw a little picture on it. We'd write the main message, and then the whole class would go down to the custodian's office and knock on the door and ask them to come out for a minute, and we would present the thank you note with the all the students there, and just really let them know how much we appreciated all that they were doing to support our program. The beautiful thing about training a therapy dog in a school community is the opportunity for inclusion. Everyone can get involved, and in fact, it is the key to success. And what more do we want in our school communities but for everybody to be included and for everybody to feel like they're a part of something that's bigger than them. In closing, we cannot change the need to express ourselves. I don't think we can change the need for dogs to bark. That is what they do. But we can certainly teach self-awareness and positive responses, whether we're human or canine. So the self-awareness would come from us as the dog handler as to what triggers our dog, what is our dog maybe a little bit more fearful of, what situations cause the dog to maybe feel a little bit more anxiety or stress, and get the dog into those situations and teach them positive emotional responses to those situations so they don't feel the need to bark. They're not afraid of it. They, just like this firefighter now, he is now here in full gear. He is got the oxygen tank on. The noises are going with him breathing in and out, and it sounds like Darth Vader. If you have watched that movie, it's quite intimidating, and this dog is very relaxed around him. So it can be done. This is proof. That's why I chose these photos. We just have to expose them and then know how to handle it. And thank you. These are my puppies on the school bus. That's Charity at the back and Lainey in front of her. They were our beautiful yellow labbies who are both no longer with us, but we remember them, and this picture will be one that probably shows up on many, many things going forward. So you can contact me at Charity Sweet Legacy. There's my email, my website, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you want to know more about how to handle dogs that bark in schools. Thank you.